the mind wants to know if they'll move their product. So there is that disconnect. That is the biggest challenge we are facing. I mean, some private firms do not fund trucks in particular at all because of the failure rate of those businesses in the first 3 years. But if we dive into it, we are almost set up for failure in logistics. The biggest challenge is payment terms. Some of the payment terms are too long for a small business to be able to have a healthy working capital and cash flow. So already you go into the space and you are doomed for failure because of the environment in itself. So I would highlight that as one of, and I think there's also a disparity between what is portrayed in legislation and the practical implementation of female SMMEs receiving funding. I think in these rooms and in boards, we have all these pretty ideas and legislations. Practically, it's quite different, I can tell you that. I'm speaking in my experience. So I think we need partnership, collaboration in saying, okay, bank, I've trained this particular SMMEs. They are equipped. Give them money. I will commit to giving them work in my mine, in my fast-moving good company. And I'm committing for 5 years until these people pay off this asset. So why is it that we do not have those talks? Because the bank says bring a contract. The contract says bring a vehicle. Why are we not having those talks that, no, I will guarantee giving this person work. I've equipped them. I'm not saying we should just go to the doors and say, give me a truck. They will train you. I have taught them the processes. I think, and now I'm jumping to another question, but we were speaking about how a lot of SMMEs are facing coaching, mentorship, enterprise development fatigue. We jump from one development to the next. I think we need more enterprise development that transforms or transitions into supplier development. We need to let SMMEs access market opportunities. Most of us have gained the knowledge. We've gained the skills. We know what is what. We now need the banks to talk to the companies in order to give us access to market opportunities. There are some initiatives that do provide this, but I'll obviously touch on that in the next question. Another challenge is logistics is a hostile business environment for female entrepreneurs. It promotes exploitation of female entrepreneurs, starting from the ground up, from the drivers. It has a culture of dishonesty, especially if you're female and you're young. Fuel theft. I mean, there are measures you can take to prevent that. But because you're female, people are ready. I'm telling you, they're already thinking, oh, jackpot. From the mechanics who will overprice you because they perceive you lack knowledge. So I think you have to be more intentional to prove that, no, Puti, send me the quote. Let me just clarify with this company, with this spare parts. You have to do those kind of things as a woman, unfortunately. To the weigh bridges, to the traffic officers, they get surprised when they're like, hey, it's in fonelum wako. Mo fonelum wako, bati. Oh, it's a girl. Now they're telling you this. They're telling you that. They're trying to extort money from you. Those are the challenges we are practically facing on ground as female entrepreneurs.
Sure. Yeah, that was a mouthful. I think it does deserve a round of applause. So I think you hit the nail on the head there. Definitely the financial access, and definitely the hostility that is proven to be for females that are in the industry, and access to market remains a challenge. Now let us obviously then quickly, before I allow the floor for questions, let's talk about the opportunities that lie for us? I think we've identified the challenges. Now, how do we turn these challenges into opportunities for us as women? And I'll allow Zaz to quickly open up to the floor for a few questions.
Okay, no, thank you very much. One of the key things that will actually drive transformation in the tax industry is the leadership roles for women in that sector. And again, the opportunities in the transport value chain, such as involvement in fuel stations, manufacturing, motor body parts, and tire production. And what is good about it, we as the tax industry, we have our own market. It's not like when we want to do these things, we're still going to look around and find who's going to buy tires from us, who's going to buy diesel, petrol. We have the market for ourselves. That's why you find that everyone comes to the tax industry to advertise themselves, because we have not noticed the opportunities that we have as the tax industry. Also, is to increase the employment of women, especially in the tax industry, so that we can make sure that our passengers are safe. And yeah, I think those are the key things that we need. Also, it's the skills, it's key. That's more. Although we seem to have, I heard that ABSA said they've got a lot of money here. That's one big thing where the banks will come and say, we've got money and we've got money. But when you come in and you say, we're looking for the money is not available. They tell you everything that you might not have. So the assistance in terms of getting into the space of the businesses, it's still a big challenge for us, especially in the tax industry. If you, we partnered with SA Tax, not necessarily because we have to partner with them. We could have our own dealership as the tax industry, but who would have funded us as the taxi people? So those are the challenges that we have. There is a growth, there is a potential, there's a huge potential of business in the tax industry. And one of the things is the resources that we need. Remember, when you have to go to the bank, you have to have business plans, and there's so many things. But all I can say that there is huge potential in the tax industry for business. Thank you.
Sure, wonderful. And what I do love is the fact that ABSA is here, so they've got to stand. Let's find out how we can bridge that gap between you and the financial access. Tita's also here from a training and skills perspective that we keep referring to. Let's find out how we can bridge that gap today. Catherine, let's get your insight in terms of the opportunities, turning the challenges that we just spoken of now into opportunities.
I think the first thing for me would be to find out what is actually out there. I've had a lot of discussions with people who say there are no opportunities, but I mean, just this morning I've learned from ABSA about what they offer women in terms of support, education and training and tools. And I've also learned from spending time at Santaco the incredible work that they're doing for small businesses and women-owned businesses. So I think the first step would be to arm yourself with information and find out what is out there. A lot of the industry associations have programs. The Road Freight Association has programs. The Southern Africa Association of Freight Forwarders has programs. So find out what's actually out there, and then look to see who you can partner with. Because perhaps when you go to ABSA and you are alone, it's different to when you are a collective and together you pool your resources, your companies, etc., and go to them so that you are stronger. I think a lot of transport operators, the SMMEs, have challenges when they go to the larger operators. Larger operators don't want to deal with a lot of small companies. They'd rather deal with one smaller. So maybe just let's rethink our approach to business and see how we can do things differently that make us stronger together.
Absolutely, and I think collaboration is definitely becoming increasingly attractive for funders. Ms. Mpumalanga.
I think a lot has been said. The first thing is partnership. Obviously, we have to look at partnership. The speakers that have been deliberating this morning emphasize the point that you cannot do it alone. You know, you need other people to do that. I like the point that you need to know what is out there. And I think Zaz touched on it a little bit. Each time we attend these functions and we get information and pamphlets and brochures, and by the time we get home, we forget about them. So it's important to know what the opportunities are there. Yeah. But also from us as a rail industry, there's a lot of opportunities that are there. If I may touch a bit on our statistics, we issue out permits to almost 200 operators. And okay, we've got the three major ones, that we all know of, but the rest are small operators, small train operators that do different things within the rail. And I sitting here, I think I can just think of one that is operated by a woman on those operators. So what I'm saying is some of the opportunities come as a giant. But in essence, if we partner up, if we go through information and understand what is required, then it's not as big as all that, So opportunities are out there. In our space as well, the regulation has just given us a new mandate to accredit service providers. And Mapif, I'm sure I'll be talking to you soon. Service providers within safety and all that. And the lady that spoke earlier on IMI, the HOD, said they took out a tender or an advert, and only 3 or 5 women applied and all that. We need to take a conscious decision as women to grab the opportunities as well. It's not just about opportunities being there, but it's also to take a conscious decision to say, I want to participate in the opportunities that are there. So this is what we want to see happening in the space where there are opportunities, more women standing up to be counted.
I totally agree with the previous points of equipping ourselves with information. Sometimes the information might not necessarily come meet us at our doors and in our living rooms. We actually have to take the initiative to acquire this information. One of the opportunities that I can highlight currently happening is there is a program called Iron Women, again by the CTA Academy. So Iron Women is a women commercial vehicle driver training program sponsored by big players in the industry such as Volvo, Mercedes-Benz, Courier Guy. So recently they had I think it's a 4-month, if I'm not mistaken, training program. At the end of the program, there were a few ladies who were awarded a year's contract and a vehicle sponsored by Mercedes-Benz to be their own vehicle and a year's contract at Courier Guy. So already that is what I mean by market opportunities, opportunities meeting the funding at the same time. So these women, I don't know what criteria they applied to see who will get the vehicles, but there are a few women who right now, their lives have completely transformed because one day they were on the internet, they saw this program, they applied, they were in it, and today they own a Mercedes-Benz truck of some sort to do deliveries. There is also a courier incubator currently happening. It's called Courier Incubator. It is sponsored by Iveco, and it is aimed at empowering women who want to participate in the career space, which, I mean, obviously with all this e-commerce happening currently, it is a very viable space for women to be part of with all these online shopping trends and online groceries. It's something I think I would also recommend women look into to start off their careers in logistics. There's also the Women Empowerment Fund by the NEF that is aimed at accelerating provision of funding to businesses owned by women with favorable interests and grants. However, as mentioned before, there are some barriers in these fundings, such as proving contracts, financials. I think those are the challenges within these funding products that we need to kind of see how to overcome and support.
Thank you so much. And I think at this point, I'll then hand over to the audience for questions, but I think the panel has done really well, and thereafter we'll then close off this brilliant conversation. Zaz? Do we have any hands in the room? Please do just stand and then you'll direct your question so that it can be answered accordingly by the correct panelist.
So, mina shame ngiyakholwa yabo. And when you're sitting next to me, you must never gossip because I'm gonna expose you during the people. So as I was sitting here, Uzingisa thought ukuthi I'm the gossiping partner. And now this is me exposing her. Kuti Zingisa, say whatever you said earlier on. Thetha lanto ubuyithethe emva kwendlu.
I suppose I've got a question for Ms. Ekeke. As a regulator, we've seen that rail freight is sort of at a standstill. From where you sit, what seems to be the issues in getting our rail freight, going in the country? And then I think I'm just going to finish all my questions to everyone, if you'll allow me. And then I think with Ms. Kosana, if you can perhaps share what it is that has made you, get you to where you are currently, and made you sustain, your business in a very male-dominated industry. And then I would also like to just touch briefly on some of the concerns that you raised earlier on. I think part of the concerns were around the disconnect between the banks and the source of your market, or source of the market for the transport industry. I think one is very grateful for such platforms because we don't know what we don't know as banks. And it is such platforms that give us insights in terms of what the struggles are with some of our businesses and how we can assist. So what I heard from you is around forming synergies, banks like ABSA forming synergies perhaps with those corporates that provide you with contracts, et cetera, et cetera. I don't want to steal the thunder. There is another panel that will be facilitated by one of the directors from ABSA, and I'm sure a lot of clarity will be brought in that particular panel. But we have collaborated with some of mines in the country, doing exactly what you are saying. But from what I'm hearing, it's not enough. I also think it's not enough, but point well taken. We've noted that. And then you also mentioned the mismatch of payments. Remember, this is also, we can provide matched payments from the funds that we lend out as a bank versus the duration of the period of when you repay and fully settle the loan. We can do that. However, it also has to align with your projected cash flows, et cetera, but I mean, that can be a discussion. Always when you're asking for funding from the bank, you can say, it doesn't mean when we say 5 years, it has to be 5 years. Should you wish to finish paying that loan earlier, we can actually do that. And for the ladies, so that you just know, we don't only offer your HP purchases when it comes to financing transports of vehicles, but we also do the leasing option. In other words, if you get a contract from a certain company and you know the contract is only for a year, so we take the risk from you and we offer you a leased, whether it's a truck or a vehicle, whatever it is, whatever type of vehicle it is. And then what you do, once that contract has been concluded, you can return that truck back or that vehicle back to the bank. But the beauty about that, because there's a lot of enterprises that are in transport that want to own the vehicle, we also give you that option of you owning that vehicle with the balloon payment that you're gonna, which you can settle at that point in time, so that you can gain ownership of that. And then I just wanted to touch briefly on something that was mentioned by Ms. Mapumolo. I think she said that banks always say they've got money, However, when it comes to the crux of it, there isn't any. They go to the bank. I think this is why the engagement is so important, because you must remember that the funds that we say we have, those are funds from ordinary depositors. So we have to be very prudent in us lending off of those funds. So it's your funds. When you come to the bank and you say, I want to take out an investment policy, whether it's 500 Rand a month for 12 months, and you're expecting a return on that fund, we take that money and we lend to someone that requires funding in order for you to get that return. And when we do that, we have to be prudent in doing that. So there's a framework that we work with. But again, as banks, I think we're very open enough to sit down with you and say, okay, here, what's lacking? It's this, that. Let's help you and assist you with that. The gentleman that will be facilitating the other dialogue or the other panel, he heads up the division that we call enterprise development. And enterprise development is a non-traditional lending arm within the bank itself. Where we say traditionally, we want security, we want this, we want that, that particular division addresses those issues. As long as you're a black-owned company, there's certain criteria, because we also know that historically, black businesses were at a disadvantage from a lending perspective, have not had an opportunity of building assets such that they can actually give it to the bank as collateral. So from that perspective, we actually help you get the security that you require as a bank. We provide it for you on your behalf. So that's why I said I don't want to steal the thunder from that panel, because I think they'll probably be clarifying some of the questions and some of the issues that were raised in this panel. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sisingisa.
Thank you. Is there anything
so
else?
you need to remember the forms that I spoke about in order for you to be able to participate in that supplier development program. Please make sure that you go to registration during tea time and then fill up those forms. Noma ungafika nje uthi igama lami nguzazimolo, gcwalisa lapho mntana, bese bayakwenzela. Do we have another hand in the room?
I'll
Okay,
only
the-
take two more because of time.
Hi, good morning. How are you? It's a ladies' conference, yes, but I'm a man. But I can always change. But anyway, I've got a question to the chair lady of Santaco. My name is Garnet Patterson, and we seem like we run the second biggest security company within South Africa, VIP Protection. My question to you is that, do you know that 60 to 80% of our clients are all female and they're all in the taxi industry? What have you actually put into place that protects these women? Because we've got cases that the husband may have passed on and then he gives the taxis to the wife tries and runs it. She is now bullied out of the system. Her taxis are confiscated by the chairman. She's threatened, her children are threatened. What have you put into place that protects these women who are in the taxi industry? That is my question to you. And then this is a somewhat response to Simpiwe, if I'm correct. Simpiwe, when it comes to contracts and tenders, do you know that there are organizations that have already approached mines and other what's called entities when it comes to contracts and tenders? It's like the Black Bulk Movers Association of South Africa, that they are able to access contracts without collateral given, and then you just need to approach a bank.
Thank you. Let's have the last question, please.
My question is, in the taxi industries, we are working with the permit. So I can hear you are talking about partnership, forming a company or be a group of people. So I don't know what is going to happen in the funding, because in the taxi industry, we are working with the permit. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much for the questions to all the ladies and to the gentlemen. The first question will go to Mam Mpumalanga. It was around the standstill within the railway industry. If you could maybe just respond to that.
Okay, thank you. This question, in answering it, ngizobe ngiyahleba kancane is this, but I'll be talking about an entity that is not in the room. But let me respond to the question, because you're speaking specifically to freight. What are the issues that make freight not to go back to the rail? There's quite a number of issues. One, it's the state of the infrastructure. Two, it's issues of maintenance, of the infrastructure. So those are the two issues. The good thing is I want to quickly go into the solution, or what is currently being done. I'm sure we have all heard about the third-party access, where the government is trying to allow third-party people or third-party organizations to come and operate trains or rail within an existing infrastructure that is owned by Transnet. And there's a whole lot of conversation around that. And when I was saying there's lots of opportunities within rail, that's one of the things that I was referring to. So maybe it's just for us in the room to go and access information and see what that entails. But from our side as a regulator, this is where we come in as well, because those people that are new, that will be operating in that space, it's a freight line, it will be a freight line, and they have to come to us for permit and for accreditations and approval. But the major issue was the state of the infrastructure, and I'm not going to go into that, and issues around maintenance. But gradually, those conversations, we're starting to have them, and it looks like we're moving towards the correct direction.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I think that should cover it. Ms. Simpiwe, your question was around sharing your sustenance mechanism thus far. So how have you made it to where you are?
I know this conference is a female conference, but I'll just give some men a bit of credit. I think what has assisted me in sustaining my SMME logistics company to this far is definitely the support of the male counterparts. I don't want us to only badmouth them here. There are some very supportive male figures in the industry. I'll give credit to that. And also, I think just being resilient and applying what we're here for, like trying to break that ceiling, that it's a motivation to say, one day I want people to say, okay, she did it, other people can follow and do it. So that's definitely a motivating factor for me. And then I'll just address the question or the comment from there's another comment she mentioned about the payment terms. Yes, I think there are some products like discounting, invoice discounting, and quite a few other products that banks do offer. But already that eats into your profits, and I think maybe if we could have more of a legislative requirement of maybe incorporating or introducing early payments to female SMMEs into the triple BE scorecard. So if you pay your female suppliers within a certain period of time, maybe we could offer additional points. So I think that kind of a framework is something that could also assist further on top of the bank's products in terms of assisting us with cash flow. And on that statement about tenders, I didn't know, but thank you very much for informing me. I do know that in terms of tendering, though, it is quite a tense platform with the business forums and the community. So it's not as easy as it is on paper.
Sure. Thank you so much, Simpiwe. Lastly, Mama Pumulo, you've got two questions over there that I'd like you to respond to. What measures have been put in place for securing the safety of women in the taxi industry? And then the last question was around permits and the collaboration aspect. How feasible or viable is it in the taxi industry to actually form co-ops given the compliance requirement?
Okay, I'm good to go. Yeah, Let me just answer the question from the gentleman right there at the back. The issues of safety in the taxi industry for women, it's a critical one because there is a lot of work that has been done, but there's a lot of work that needs to be done as well. Taxi industry was never meant for women. If you look at it, it was only made for men. But along the line, as the men are killed, now the women are surfacing. But now the strategy, there was no strategy that was in place to ensure that when that happens, then what is next? So Santaco has, in 2006, that's been long ago, they took a resolution that there must be a Santaco women. That is the main reason that we exist as the women, just to make sure that we come up with the strategies and ensure that we create a platform where we listen to all the challenges that women are experiencing. But unfortunately, there are a lot of policies that does not speak to the women in the taxi industry that we need to look into. And also, there is so-called constitution which is not in line with all the constitutions in South Africa for Santaco, which we aim to correct that one, because you find that one association has a different one and one association has a different one. And if we still have that, we won't be able to control what is happening within the industry. And also, the biggest issue is women, they have to deal with a lot when a husband passed on. It's not only the association, it's also the family, where the in-laws in particularly, the children that are born out of wedlocks. So those things that we are currently crafting all the policies to ensure that whatever happens, there is something that guides the association, although it's still a challenge where you find that in the association, they're not interested in looking at any document, whether it's coming from court or where it's coming from. It's them rules as to what is going to happen here, and this is how it happens. Hence, we are saying that the leadership for women in the taxi industry is critical, because the decision is made on the level of the leadership of Santaco. So if the women are not skilled enough or are not empowered enough to take the leadership positions in Santaco, there is going to be a very slightly change to try and secure women in the taxi industry. But all I can say that we are aware of that, we are working on it. It's been an ongoing. In some other places we have managed to sort it out, but again, we still got a long walk to try and solve that one. The second one is there is a project that we're currently doing with World Bank, where what we are trying to do, we are actually taking one association with a very limited route for now. And then we form the cooperative where the owners of the association, they will sit all the operating license to the co-op. Then the co-op is the one that is going to be running the business. So meaning that if we do that, all the operators are going at home. So what we are doing is the company is going to be running the taxis for all the individualists, for the individual operators. And then if we win that part, it means that all these problems where a husband died, there's a challenge women that are facing, there is a violence against women in the taxi industry, will be eliminated. So currently that's what we are doing.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Duduzegile Mapumulo, the chairperson of Santaco, joined by Catherine Locken, the council member and ex-officio for the Chartered Institute of Logistics and Transport South Africa, together with Ms. Nokume Eke, board chairperson for Railway Safety Regulator, and lastly, Managing Director for DSP Logistics. My name is Dumi Leroux, Acting General Manager for Empowaworks. Thank you so much, and that will conclude our discussion today.
Thank you so much, ladies. That was quite intriguing and very informative. Sicela isithombe. Thina sifuna proof yokuthi bowukhona la. Sifuna portfolio of evidence. Yabona mama maphi ufuna ubonile la. Next week uzobethi izazi sicela report. Thank you so much, ladies. that was really just quite fantastic. So the next we have a next panel that is coming up. One thing that is quite amazing and beautiful about Empowawomen is the fact that we do have men who are allies and partners of Empowawomen, and which is what makes it different, that it's not really a platform where women just sit and complain about what is not working and what the issues are in any sector. And as a result, we have one of our partners in the room who is Mr. Kgalaletso Tlwaele, who is the head Enterprise Development Relationship Banking at ABSA. What he's going to be talking about really is about the growth and empowerment through enterprise supplier development in the transport industry. Not only is he going to be, conducting a conversation in a panel around ESD itself, but he's also bringing people in the room who have been, beneficiaries of the very same program that I've been talking about since I started this morning, to say, ngicela niyolanda ama-form, nigcwalise nama-form, so that you can be part of their supplier development. And these are the people that are going to be talking about the how. And oftentimes, you often hear, stakeholders or funders saying, we do fund people, but you've never seen a face of a person that has been funded by anything, right? Or they can't even show you a single person that they have funded. So what ABSA has done today is to say, not only do we put where our money, where our mouth is, but we are going to bring people that we have funded who are going to talk about the how. How did we make it possible for them? And as well as so that they can also give you tips as to what are the things that you need to do in order for you to participate. Please give it a round of applause for none other than Mr. Kgalaletso Tlwaele. I saw him earlier on. And he is going to introduce his own panel as he comes up. Thank you. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, MC.
We want to know, is it
still morning? This is moving so quickly. It's afternoon already. Can I please call Fezile and Itumeleng respectively? We are going to have two panels, ladies and gentlemen. The first one is going to be focusing on just the innovation that is available to assist women entrepreneurs in transport. So we are going to have Fezile. He is from Green Scooter, Mr. Dlamini. And then Mr. Majafi Tumeleng Majafi. He is from Auto Hubs. My name is Kgalaletso Tlwaele. I am the one that my colleague Zingisa said I will be addressing the issue around access to finance, because as she indicated, in enterprise development, we do things differently. We enable those entrepreneurs who have the ambition as well as the, if I can say, the drive to become entrepreneurs, and then we provide additional support, financial as well as non-financial support, to enable them to actually reach their goals, their vision, as well as, of course, to become thriving entrepreneurs and valuable clients of ABSA going forward. Now, talking about our clients, we have brought along two gentlemen heading up entities that are quite unique and innovative. As you know, innovation is a big part of the theme for today. So, I'm going to give these two gentlemen, I'm going to start with Mr. Fezile Dlamini. He is the founder of Green Scooter. Just to give us 5 minutes intro into his business, what he's all about, and what he sees as the role of Green Scooter going forward. And then after that, I'm going to give over to Mr. Majafi to tell you about Auto Hubs. Auto Hubs. Get that name. It will become a very important name as far as the township economy is concerned and providing opportunity. Over to you, Mr. Dlamini.
Thank you, KK. Sanibona nonke. Ufezile Dlamini Gama. I'm from Johannesburg. I am the founder and the CEO of Green Scooter. Green Scooter, if I were to tell you the story of how it started, it was literally a divine intervention. And the divine intervention was being in Richards Bay on holiday in 2015. Finally, I'm university. And while I was driving, I saw something that we see every day. Umama wehle taxini bengisa Bedwood. Wehle taxini uphethe ama plastic checkers. And when you know that she's going to walk about 3-5 kilometers until afike ekhaya. And that's where it started, where I was like, why do we have to walk so much? Why don't we have efficient and affordable solutions that tackle this particular problem, which is first mile and last mile? So I decided to come up with that product there at the back. And as much as I didn't like saying it for a very long time, but I'm the only black person in the country right now over the past 100 years that actually manufactures vehicles, and also the first at my age to do electric vehicles, that is. So that's where it started. It started with identifying a problem, and then finding ways to localize concepts, and then further to that, make sure that it relates to abanting funukbateng selawon. So our products now, we have the ZB RS and we have the ZB Cargo. The RS, a passenger, 1 driver, 2 passengers at the back. Then you have the ZB Cargo over there, which is made and designed for deliveries. Beyond this, we do a plethora of other things. As a company, for the past 8 years, I self-funded my company, which has not been easy. When you're trying to get into a space where you're manufacturing vehicles and you're building a future that people don't even know exists or cannot even see existing, I had to take it upon myself to literally build this entire dream. And how I did it was literally partnerships, but also starting another company on the side, which I used as my cash cow to finance this entire thing. And I think in the next year, we'll be moving into the largest factory that will exist on the continent for automotive. And again, looking at the 100 years of South Africa's history within the sector. Be that as it may, I think we've also transcended as a company, where we're now also partnership, and we're actually working with Taxi Choice. So the colleagues from TETAEmpowaWomen's desk will also be familiar with this. And with that, we are also adding a lot of value within what does the future of transportation look like. Because when I actually designed this and have been continuously developing this entire business, is that we look at 3 core tenets: business model innovation, clean energy, and transportation as a service. It's more than just 3-wheelers or your tuk-tuk that went to private school. It's how do you actually hone in all of the different parts of this moving and ever-moving ecosystem, which is where we are playing. Not just manufacturing vehicles, we're also in the battery research and development space. So I write the research papers. These research papers focus on the best chemistries that we need to be applying. And then we also focus on charging station networks. How can they work? How can they be realistic? And then also we partner up with other smaller organizations. On my last point in introducing our company, in 2020, we were also the first company in the entire continent to launch a food and grocery delivery platform that utilized electric vehicles. So how this worked is that I took my fleet, which I built, and Cyril said, country's gonna shut down. I said, I don't shut down. Then I took my vehicles, and I found myself upstaying in Joburg. Then I realized it became very saturated and I didn't like it. Eventually I took my vehicles and I found Soweto, LX, Soshanguve, Mabupane and the like. And then that's when we started creating something of value as well, using our products. So that's Green Scooter for you.
Thank you, President. That is an inspiration. And also for young people out there, you are never too young to make an impact, especially when it comes to innovation. Thank you for sharing your story. Over to you, Itumeleng. Tell us about AutoHubza.
Thanks, KK. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Itumeleng. I'm no stranger to the auto sector. I've been in the auto industry for 15 years. And it gives me so much pleasure to be part of the Women Conference because we see this auto industry male dominated, and one of our key drivers is to make sure that we include the youth and women within the auto sector. So just to give you a bit of a background about our company, we have designed a containerized solution for either your township or your fleet companies. So basically within a 12-meter container, we've converted it into 3 sections. You can retail your spares in the other section, and you can do tires in the other section. The last section, you can do your paint mixing. The unit has got a paint mixing bank. And all these departments, they require specialty. So we also back up our container with a training program. We're looking at expanding our business footprint with 100 stores by this time next year, employing just over 800 new people into the market. And we also want to extend our training to just over 1,000 of our learners, so we can transfer these skills that are needed in this sector. There's quite a high staff turnover within this sector. The reason why we started Auto Habza, we also saw a need for something that is more flexible within the township market. If you look at the stats now, go to Soweto, there's just over 1,000 panel beaters. You go back to Soweto again, there's also just over, they said 2,500 backyard mechanics. Now all these industries, they need supply of products, and they also need supply of services such as mentorship, business supporters in terms of delivering the products. So the idea of Auto Hub, we call it Auto Hub because it's quite unique in a sense that we can place this unit within any township, and it will cater for all these backyard mechanics. I talked about paint, for example. Our auto mechanics or panel beaters are operational on Saturdays and Sunday. And we know they have to drive all the way to town to buy their products. So what happens when they are open during Saturdays and Sunday and they cannot really get their products? So Auto Habza comes in and makes sure that they continue with their daily production or daily services to their clients. And it's easier for them to access products through an auto hub that will be placed closer to their work premises. So what we do is we cut down the transport costs, and obviously from the numbers game as well, we make sure that the product is much affordable for them. For this setup, we're looking at inviting women to participate into Auto Habza. We want women to take ownership in terms of their own fitment centers within either their township or where they have contracts with fleets. As an example, if you are lucky to have a contract with a rental agency and they have a yard with just over 600 cars, we are able to put this container to cater for that market on your behalf. And we'll do the training and we'll give you mentorship support. Also, we also provide services such as access to funding. Through our partnership with ABSA, we are able to source funding for those that need funding for this setup. But in a nutshell, Auto Habza is here to stay. We're looking at getting at least 40% of ownership or attracting more women and youth into Auto Habza, because in the past we've seen how women scale up their businesses from a small startup to a big operation. And just high-level overview. Thanks, KK.
Let's give him also a round of applause. Isn't it really great to see how entrepreneurs can use their vision to actually come up with solutions that make our lives much easier? So you can just imagine if you are based in a township and having access to basically 7 days a week, well-priced spares, your service kits, your shocks, everything. And also, in addition to that, if you're able, as a panel beater, to access and mix your paint from a shop that's in your neighborhood, that is really, really exciting. Now, while we're still on the point of technology, I'd like, while we're still with you, Itumeleng, just give us insights into the type of technology that you are able to deploy and the type of MI analytics that you are able to actually bring to the party in assisting particularly the taxi industry. And also ecosystem partners like financiers. Thank you.
Absolutely, KK. I think one of the biggest challenges with township business, we've seen that some of the guys are still operating on manual invoices. You know, some of them battle with cash flow statements or recording or just tracking what they've bought or what they have inside the shop. So through Auto Hubs, we've partnered with Sage, a platform that allows us to track invoices, do quotations, bring in stock for our customers, and also track the day-to-day business. From just one button, you can print reports, see how your business is operating, cash flow analysis, and things like that. Now, this tool is quite important in a sense that when the entrepreneur is at a point where they need to scale up, it's easier for them to send cash flow statements as part of the application for funding. When it's SARS compliance, it's easier for them to track in terms of what they need to pay to be compliant with SARS. And from our side, we are able to use this data to predict the stock that they require. You know, we can even